Good morning, everyone, on this very brisk fall morning. I am very excited about today's show. Joining me this morning is Rebecca Samuels, owner of Pythagoras LLC. And Rebecca, I know you're probably going to have to correct me on that.
No, you said it right.
Thank you. Rebecca is a CPA and an EA, they're located in Washington, D.C. area. She has been working in the accounting and the finance industry since 2000. Rebecca graduated with her Master's of Science in Accounting in 2015 and has an undergraduate degree in accounting and criminology. That is really cool. When I read that, I thought that was really neat, Rebecca.
Thank you.
She earned her CPA license in 2016, her EA in 2017, and she is also a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor. Rebecca is also an Army Reservist veteran and holds a current government clearance to provide freelance auditing service for government contracts. So as you can tell, Rebecca does not let the grass grow under her feet very long. She is a very busy young lady. In the last 15 years, Rebecca's career bloomed in the financial services field, and she's held various positions providing financial consulting for auditing the federal government, as well as providing accounting and tax services for individual and private businesses. Recently, Rebecca attended our Employee to Entrepreneur event that we hosted here in Columbia. At the event, the attendees learned that Rebecca is very active in the Bitcoin and blockchain arena, which I was really fascinated with. I have to admit, Rebecca, I thought that was really, really cool when you were talking about that. So I immediately wanted to get Rebecca on the show because I think she really just brings something different. And I'm really excited about it. So with that, Rebecca, can you share a little bit about the clients who are in this arena and how you are marketing to them and how you found them?
Okay, yeah. So originally when I started Pythagoras, which was back in 2017, I did a lot of researching on how to do that transition of going from being an employee to an entrepreneur. And one of the best advice that I received was finding your niche. So I decided to look at niches that didn't have too many tax professionals in them to learn more about them, which is how I kind of stumbled up on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. The IRS put out a notice back in, I believe, July of that year, stating that people weren't paying their cryptocurrency taxes. As I started to learn more about the blockchain, I became very interested in everything that I found, especially because I have a very strong background in auditing and how blockchain kind of does the auditing for you. I thought it was really cool. And so I decided to make that my niche. I really didn't market myself to clients. It was more like an education perspective because I would be in the cryptocurrency groups, just people that are trading. And a lot of them would say, well, we don't have to pay taxes on this, so we don't need to worry about this stuff. And the IRS put out the notice 2014-21 stating that this was indeed taxable. And a lot of people just either weren't aware or they didn't care. So I just started sharing the information that I found. And what I found was there was a huge need of finding someone in this area. I think when I came in, again, it was the summer of 17. I want to say maybe there were about 20 to 30 people, tax professionals that were in this arena. It has now grown. It's grown. There's more than 200 now, but back then it was very small. Mm-hmm. In my area in Maryland, on one of the cryptocurrency tax websites, I was the first person on the site. We didn't have one in Maryland. So, yeah, and I think just through education, I grew. My first year, I had about 100 clients, which included about 5 overseas, which I was really shocked about. But even people overseas were like, hey, can you help me put this together? I don't understand this stuff. And once I started going through the ledger, I just was like, wow, this is accounting. This is accounting, your debits, your credits, you're explaining everything of what you're doing. So this will be my 3rd year coming up, but I've done a lot of complex cryptocurrency ledgers. I've done some very simple ones. It's been a really good experience and it's helped my business grow. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this heads, especially, you know, as the IRS has now buckled down, and in 2019, everybody will actually see on the tax return, have you sold, traded cryptocurrency? Like, everyone's going to see that question next year. So it's here. We have to do it.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I'm telling you, it's so interesting, this whole concept. You know, it's just one of those things that, you know, it's going on in the background, and you heard about it, but like going, no, it really doesn't affect me. But like you just stated, now that the IRS is like going, knocking at that door and saying, hello, this is now taxable, guys. It's just almost like that foreign tax issue where if you had a foreign account, you know, this is just that same way, that now it's going to be right in front of them. They're going to have to answer those questions just like they do on the foreign account that they have. So that's really interesting. So, you know, if someone wanted to really get into this arena and learn about it, and I mean, can you share with some sites or some ideas or how they can get up to speed on this? You know, because as we start seeing this and our clients are going to just, you know, it's just one of those things that are, you know, oh, I'll try that. You know, our clients will say, you know, let's give it a whirl. I mean, any thoughts on, you know, where they can come up with, you know, some thoughts or, you know, some resources that you can use about this product?
I think the best way to learn is to be involved in the space. And that's kind of what I did from the very beginning. I started learning more about the various altcoins. Besides Bitcoin, we have other cryptocurrencies that have some value and some use. And I started learning more about the companies behind these cryptocurrencies, and I started investing my own money. So I have a lot of crypto that is just stashed away right now because I'm on a 5 to 10 year investment plan, if you want to call it. But you got to think about it, because when Bitcoin, I guess if you want to say it came mainstream, it was in the hundreds to 200s area. Now, I didn't look at the price today, but you know, a coin is probably $9,000 each. So for me, it's like you know, once I learned about it and I understood where it came from and where it's going, I invest. So again, to answer your question, I think the best way for anyone to learn would be to invest themselves. That said, this is a little bit more complicated, because the type of cryptocurrency reconciliations that I do, I'm dealing with exchanges literally all over the world. I've dealt in other currencies such as the euro, and that's in part due to the fact that I picked up clients in other countries. So I'm learning things about the Aussie dollar and everything like that. You know what I mean? It's been quite interesting, but and going through and trying to reconcile things. There's been times I've had to piece things together. I've come to find out that sometimes exchanges don't give correct data. So when you receive data through an API, it's kind of like detective work in a way, kind of sort of like forensic auditing, trying to put the pieces back together. And because there's not a standard of accounting between the exchanges, and there's not a standard of counting just in crypto in general, I mean, you just try to put things together as best as you can. So that said, if anyone's looking to have any type of cryptocurrency clients, I say go after the simple ones so that you can get your feet wet. If you have a client that only deals in Coinbase, that's a perfect candidate, I guess you would want to say. If they only do their trading in Coinbase, all the information is right there. You can follow directions on crypto tax software, pull that information together, and you can see how it all flows before you create the 8949 for the tax return. If you find someone more complicated, unfortunately, I think you should pass them on to someone that's a lot more experienced in this area, because there's a lot going on. And after 2 years, I still, to this day, I'm learning stuff that my clients are bringing me things, and I'm like, wow, I've never seen that before.
Oh, man.
You know,
it does make your job interesting, and it makes it makes every day new. So now, I mean, Bitcoin's currently still is not as regulated as other things, and the SEC is always, you know, always looking down our, you know, behind the corner to see what they can do. I mean, I really believe that with this continue, especially now that the IRS is now really making it a part of their everyday duties, I can see the SEC not far behind. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And we have the crypto tax mama. I can't remember her actual name right now, but she's the commissioner of the SEC that's really heavily involved in the crypto space, and she's advocating to everyone else to get on board to not stagnate cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and the blockchain. This is going to become a part of our everyday life. It really is. It just is how much of it.
Right.
And the thing about it is, Bitcoin has its origins in the dark web, and people are like, oh, it's illegal and all this other stuff. But the actual technology of all of it is something that we're all going to use. So it would just make sense that we try to figure out a way to work with it. I tell people all the time. So for example, hardcore, staunch crypto holders, these are the people that don't want government. And this is something that I explained to the other side of the aisle, that Bitcoin was never created for this. Bitcoin was in retaliation of government and compliance and everything else like that, because the banks went down in 2009 with the recession and everything else. This is what Bitcoin was born out of. So we have to coexist, because honestly, one side wants government gone and the other side doesn't want crypto here. So it's like, come on, guys, we got to work together, because it would just benefit us all in the long run. But I tell people all the time, I'm very interested to see where this is going to go, especially with tax court petitions against the IRS for their positions, because we have the position now that hard forks and airdrops are taxable once the crypto holder is in constructive receipt. I have a lot of clients that are like, well, I don't want to pay taxes on this. So if I just hold it in a crypto wallet and I don't touch it, or I don't claim my fork, do I have to pay taxes on it? Like, it's so many gray areas here. And if you could see, I'm quite in the middle. I feel, again, we need government, but I also feel like this is an amazing technology. So I'm very quite in the middle, and I think it needs to be fair. I think it needs to be something that makes sense, so that everyone will want to comply and both sides can coexist. But we'll see where it's going to go.
Well, we have our first question from live. The question is cryptocurrency treated dollar for dollar like real dollars?
No. Okay. So you're not going to tell someone, hey, it's more of a value sort of thing. So for example, I have clients that pay me in cryptocurrency, especially those that are overseas. I don't take credit cards overseas. So they pay me in crypto or ETH. And when I get the crypto, we have an agreed upon amount. So I tell them, give me the equivalent of $450 and send it to my ETH account. Now, obviously, when they do the transaction, it's probably $450. But by the time I receive it, it could be $463 or it could be $447, or depending on what the market's doing that day. So it's not really like dollar for dollar, because the value isn't stable. But right now, that's the way that I'm transacting. Maybe when Bitcoin was a little bit lesser in value, if it was like $100 in value, maybe then someone would have said, oh yeah, just give me one Bitcoin and I'll sell you whatever it is. But now that Bitcoin has a lot, is much, it's a higher value. Someone's not necessarily going to give you a whole Bitcoin unless it's something that unless they're getting like a car or something in exchange. So I don't know. Does that answer your question? I kind of think I understand it. Okay.
Yeah. So is the Bitcoin world arena fluctuate as much as like the stock market? I mean, you see it fluctuating that much?
It definitely did at the end of 2017 into 2018, when we had a rush of new people coming into the market. The prices were going up and down. If you were an investor and you were holding cryptocurrency, your stomach was turning every day. Now I want to say it's a little bit more stable, but even still, again, it could be $10,000 this morning and it could be $9,000 this afternoon, or it could even drop and bounce back up. Because you got to understand, when we're dealing with the cryptocurrency market, we're not just talking about like the US, we're talking about the entire world. So, and Asia is up when we're sleeping. We're up when Asia's sleeping. So there is constant flow of traffic that is put into this. And I have clients that literally are constantly trading, not necessarily just Bitcoin. They're looking at all types of different cryptocurrencies. Even more, unfortunately, we have groups out there that buy a whole bunch of crypto to pump the value up, and then they dump it and sell to change it back to another crypto to get the value back. So there's just a whole bunch of stuff that's going on here.
Wow, I'm telling you, I have to applaud you, Rebecca. When you began, from that E2E program that we talked about, they were saying, and just as you alluded, to find that niche and really focus on that and make yourself part of that, and that's how you're going to, and that's how you can build your business. And I'll tell you, I think you really hit a home run on this one, because I mean, when you started talking about it, I was like going, wow, there's like a whole world out there.
Yeah.
We're all settled here in our little desk and dealing with, dollar bills, and, sure, we deal with the foreign market a little bit, but not in the level that you're dealing with. And I think what's helped you a little bit too is also your criminology background with the cryptocurrency and everything. Don't you think that that's helped you a little bit, because you're kind of aware and kind of open to like really clever ideas, I think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely helped me understand this, again, from the beginnings of the dark web to now where we are, even when, clients tell me, or not clients, because I don't really take anyone that doesn't pay their taxes. But when I have people that will come to me and say, well, I have cryptocurrency and I don't want to pay taxes on this, I don't think the IRS can catch me. I can explain to them how the blockchain works and say, hey, you know what? It's not as anonymous as you think it is.
Right.
While it doesn't have your name and social security number and address blaring on it, I tell people all the time, you transact in patterns. Think about how you get to work. Generally speaking, you take the same route every day. Think of when you buy things. Generally speaking, you buy in a pattern. So if someone really wanted to figure out who you were, the blockchain is the perfect way. All they got to do is just do some data mining and figure out your pattern, and then eventually track something back to you. So all of this has been quite interesting, from like people trying to evade taxes and, yeah.
Wow. Well, I applaud you also for the work that you're doing, and also to get these people into compliance as well, because I can imagine, that they beat to a different drum, and they're a little bit more harder to sway than, the people that are more,
it is. Yeah.
So just to say, I just want to applaud you for that, that's a talent in itself. So there you go. So, well, Rebecca, I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. I have to say you have done great things with your many accomplishments, and I thank you also for your military service. Veterans Day is coming up, and thank you for all you're doing. And I'm telling you, you are a real joy to talk to, and I'm really excited. I'll tell you, if I ever have a client that comes across, you're going to be my first call, Rebecca.
Definitely. Please use me as a resource. I'm still building up my business, but I'm telling you, just being in the cryptocurrency space, going from employee to now an entrepreneur, having my business, I'll be in my third year working for myself. And that's amazing, because you know how they say businesses fail within the first 3 to 5 years. And I don't think there's an exception with us accountants, because we have to market ourselves. We have to talk to people. We have to get them to trust us, since we're dealing with sensitive information. So yes, please definitely use me as a resource, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay, well, at this time, we did have a few more items that we want to cover. We just received notice that the open application period from November 1st through January 31st of 2020 is open for EAs with Social Security numbers ending in 4, 5, and 6. So you are required to renew your EA status during that time frame. Without that renewal, your EA status will expire as of March 31st, and you do not want to have that happen while in the middle of tax season. So any type of education requirements that you haven't fulfilled yet, which is the 72 hours every 3 years, you have to have that done by December 31st of 2019. So remember, get busy, get those things done, and if you need to get some education because you're missing a few hours, we still have spaces in all of our upcoming seminars. Now, really quick though, the renewal application fee has increases from $30 to $67. So just be aware of that. Also, we received a lovely invitation from Frost and Associates, and they are hosting their Tax Session Council Tax Session Professionals Networking Night. Wow, that's a mouthful. And the event is going to be November 21st at 6 o'clock at the Prime Rib right there in Hanover, Maryland. So this is open to any tax professional. The Bar Association, the Maryland Bar Tax Session, does a lovely job. I've gone a couple years. In the past, they've hosted it in Ellicott City. This year, they're going to be at the Prime Rib. Wow, yummy food. So, hey, for all those who are available and are down that area, remember to sign. You need to pre-register so they can have a good count. But if you would like to, go ahead and join us. Now, MSATP continues to have a footprint in the social world. We now are on Instagram. So you will be making announcements at the upcoming seminars on how you can follow us on Instagram. So for all those who would love to do that, please give us a follow, because we're always trying to keep our face out in the public. So you can, Naval just posted how you can follow us at MSATP 1959. And now after today's show, I'll be traveling to Hershey for the Solo and Small Firm Business Builders Conference. We are very excited about this weekend. We have 53 principals and 22 guests who will be joining us for this great event. We will be posting highlights on the Instagram from the event, so you don't want to miss out. And be prepared for some surprises. We have some little clever things planned for up there. We're going to be doing some great networking and doing some great education. And actually, one of the topics we're going to be covering is Bitcoin. So if that really enticed you, maybe next year. Now, one last item. Last week, we had our program addressed podcasts. And I said we would share in each of our shows a new podcast. This week, I want to share one. It's called the TED Radio Hour. This podcast provides simple solutions to business issues. It's not an industry specific, but each episode provides a concept with great ideas. So take a listen. It's a good listen. And like I said, and you might come up with a little tidbit that, hey, I can make that work in my business. So again, we're trying to really become out there in the world of out in the social media and everything that's out there and what's available to us by way of education. So take a listen to that podcast. You might pick up some interesting tidbits there. Again, if you also listen to a podcast and want to share, what you listen to, please drop me an email. I'd love to hear about it, because maybe I'll announce it on one of our next programs. So with that, I'm going to start heading out to Hershey Park. I'm going to load up the truck and head up the road. And I just want everyone to have a great weekend. For those who are veterans, I want to thank you so much for your service and all that you do for this country. We have many members who make that transition from the world of military and actually move into the accounting world and offer tax preparation. For each of them, I just want to send our sincerest thanks for all you do for us. And for everyone else, I want everyone to have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.